Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
This episode is brought to you by Hostfully, a company that helps you make beautiful guidebooks for your listing. Especially for Get Paid for Your Pad listeners, get 2 free months of their premium version. For more details, visit hostfully.com/pad.
Welcome everybody in our episode of Get Paid for Your Pad. Today I'm very excited to welcome Yifan Zhang on the show. She is the CEO and co-founder of Loftium, which is a startup that recently launched just a week ago. They offer Airbnb hosts the opportunity to get a down payment for the purchase of a house. Is that right, Yifan?
That's right. Hey, Jasper. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I actually recently found out about you guys last week when I was going through the news for the Airbnb News podcast episode. I saw an article in the New York Times and it immediately spiked my interest. I think it's a great idea. I think it's awesome to empower Airbnb hosts to, purchase a home. I'm really excited to talk to you and hear about your story and the reason why you founded the company and how it works and how people can get involved.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share the story. So we are in the down payment and mortgage industry, so it's pretty regulated. We actually couldn't announce anything until Monday when we finally got approved to start issuing down payments. And it's been great. It's been amazing to see the response to our product so far.
Awesome. But let's go back in time a little bit, because I know you've been an Airbnb host yourself, and I would love to hear how you got this idea from your hosting experience.
Yeah. So I've always stayed at Airbnbs, and a lot of times I tend to stay in private rooms in someone's home because as an entrepreneur, you're not living the most luxurious life. And I tried to host for a while. I was a renter until last year, and I tried hosting in 3 different rental apartments, but always got caught or shut down by my landlord. Last year, my husband and I finally bought a house in Seattle, and I was able to, rent out an extra bedroom on Airbnb finally. And it was so exciting. I mean, 1 bedroom could cover our mortgage essentially for a 3-bedroom townhouse. And we're not in the heart of Seattle. So I guess kind of seeing that revenue stream, it gave me the idea, this can solve a lot of problems, including the problem with a down payment to actually be able to get into a home and start Airbnb-ing in the first place.
So how much of a down payment do you need in the US to buy a house?
In the US, the minimum for kind of a Fannie Mae conventional mortgage is 5% down. Some people can make 3% down if you're a first-time home buyer with certain kind of qualifications.
So it's between 3 and 5%. That's a pretty low percentage.
Yeah. And usually, this is fine. But in these expensive cities, like if you're talking San Francisco, Seattle, even cities like Denver, Madison, Wisconsin, it's starting to get expensive. Seattle, I think the average price of homes is above $700,000 now.
Okay. So 5% of $700,000, that's still $35,000.
Yep.
So that's a substantial amount that not everybody will be able to afford.
Exactly, especially if you're paying, the rising rent as well. It's hard to save up that down payment.
Right, got it. Okay. So you're basically operating in Seattle for now, is that right?
Yes. So we finally got regulatory approval to launch the down payment product in Seattle as of Monday. And our plans are, we definitely want to do a great job in Seattle and then move pretty quickly to opening up a bunch more cities.
Out of curiosity, how does that work? Because you don't really have to be situated in a certain location to be offering the service, I imagine. Why can't you just do the whole US?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. So mortgages are pretty regulated. You actually can't just use any funds for a down payment. Besides kind of saving it up yourself, your only other option is to get a gift from your parents. But if you're not in that position or your parents aren't in that position, you really just have to spend years saving up that down payment. Loftium is the first regulator approved source of down payment funding. And it's a creative one, based on rental income.
Okay, so you only have permission to provide down payments to people that live in Seattle?
Yep, right now, just people buying in Seattle. But the nice thing is, if this goes well, it's pretty scalable. We can expand that approval to add more cities. And then the goal is kind of the United States in general.
Interesting. Can you explain a little bit more about what the structure is like with the mortgage? And I also read that Fannie Mae is involved as well.
Yeah, so we're able to work with, right now, our mortgage provider is Umpqua Bank in Seattle, and our down payments can be applied for conventional Fannie Mae loans, the typical kind of 30-year mortgage. The way that Loftium works is you can go onto our website, loftium.com, and look up any address, any home for sale, and we'll give you an estimate for how much down payment we can give on that home. And you can take that and use our funding to make your offer on that home. A lot of people are using us to kind of get to that minimum 5% down mark. Other people are using us to get to 20% down so they can lower their monthly payments. You can really use that down payment however is most useful for you.
Okay, interesting. There's a few questions in the Airbnb news group because I posted the article from the New York Times and a number of people commented. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions that actually come straight from the group. So one question was, this is available elsewhere right now. So it's only in Seattle, but obviously you guys would be looking to expand.
Yes. And if people actually on our website, you can vote for the city that we should expand to or the multiple cities. So that really helps us to know where the demand is.
Got it. The next question that I see is, this is a good question. What happens if you sign up for Loftium, you get the down payment, and Loftium takes a percentage of the Airbnb earnings from the host? But what happens if for some reason you stop hosting?
We separate out kind of the two different types of contract breakage, I guess. So the first one is if you basically want to get out of the contract, you don't want to host anymore, you're kind of proactively ending the contract, then you just have to pay us back the pro rata amount of time remaining on the contract that we put down for the down payment, plus a termination fee. So you basically pay us back what's remaining on the contract. On the other hand, kind of if you are not seeing as much hosting traffic as we predicted, you're not on the line for that. There's no money that you have to pay us back if you continue hosting and there's just not as many guests as we expected.
Okay. So, and is there a certain time window where you're taking a percentage of the Airbnb revenue, or is it indefinite? Like, let's say you don't see a lot of traffic and so it's really slow paying back. Are you just going to keep taking the percentage, or does it stop after a certain number of years?
Nope. We have a very set contract. It's either 12, 24, or 36 months, and it depends on how much down payment you need from us. We can give up to $50,000, but some people don't need that entire amount. So we can adjust the length of the contract. But if at the end of the contract we haven't gotten paid back, that's really not the home buyer's, fault or burden. We're the ones that hold that risk. We do share the monthly income though with the home buyers, so they have skin in the game too. A few $100s every month that they get to share in the upside.
Can you explain that a little further?
Yeah, definitely. So the way that Loftium works is we give you a down payment, and in exchange, you agree to share the Airbnb income from an extra bedroom in your primary residence for 12 to 36 months. So during the contract, you are the host. We provide a lot of software and support to make it successful, and then we split or we share that income that comes in every month.
Okay, yeah. That's the basic idea, right? And the percentage varies per situation?
It does, yeah. Typically, it's a 30-70 split. So Loftium keeps 70%, the homeowner keeps 30% because we have to pay back the down payment we gave up front.
Okay, got it. And it's always around 70%?
Yes. Yep. It's typically a 30-70 split, but we also adjust this. It really depends on how much down payment you need.
Okay, got it. So there's two situations. There's situation one is the Airbnb host signs up, gets the down payment, and pays back the percentage of the earnings for a given period of time, whether it's 12, 24, or 36 months, and whether the full amount has been paid back at the end of that period. That doesn't matter. After that period ends, all the money will go to the Airbnb host.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
But then if you stop hosting, then you have to pay back the amount that you haven't paid back yet. Is there a difference between the situation where somebody voluntarily stops Airbnb hosting or when somebody is forced to stop? Let's say, there's new regulation or the condo association rules or HOA, stuff like that. Is there a difference between those two situations?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. So first of all, we are only opening up in markets right now that have regulatory approval, for this type of Airbnb hosting, which is primary residence, you're renting out an extra bedroom. But also, if the regulations completely change, instead of, forcing you to pay us back when you might not be able to, we just have a second lien that stays on the property. So we get paid back when you decide to sell your house. There's no kind of cash burden for you to pay back.
Okay, got it.
You've heard me talk about Hostfully a lot over the past few months. I love sending my beautiful Hostfully guidebook to my guests, as it makes me look very professional. I also love including screenshots of my guidebook in my actual Airbnb listing. This helps me stand out from the crowd. Well, now I'm thrilled to announce that I'm a sponsor of the Hostfully Host program. Twice a month, Hostfully selects a host and features them on their top-ranked blog. This is great promotion for your listing and a cool way to share your favorite local spots to a large audience. What's even cooler is that each Hostfully host gets a free set of organic sheets from the clean bedroom. And now that I'm a sponsor, you'll also be featured in my newsletter, my social media feeds, and you get free access to my video course on how to be a great host. For more details and how to apply, visit hostfully.com/hostfullyhost.
There's another question in the news group. Can it be a small building, like 2-3 apartments, or does it need to be a family home?
Yeah, so right now it has to be either a townhouse or a single family home. We hope to be able to expand a little bit in the future, but a lot of our early customers actually are buying slightly larger homes that have, say, a mother-in-law unit or an ADU in the back. So you can definitely do something like that, but an apartment building's a little bit outside of our approvals.
Okay, cool. And there's another question. Ask them when they are coming to Philly. When are you coming to Philadelphia?
Philadelphia is pretty high on the list. It's been getting a lot of votes. So,
okay. I see somebody asking about Chicago as well.
Yeah. I think right now I'm looking at some of the top votes. Chicago, Philly, Boston, San Francisco. These are definitely getting a lot of interest.
Have you heard of a company called Clearbank with a C?
Oh, I think I have. Do they also do financing?
Yeah, they do financing as well. It's a Canadian company.
I don't know that much about them, but I just heard their name and concept.
Okay, I guess so. That's the only competitor that I could think of.
Yeah. And I think, do they work more with kind of current Airbnb hosts?
They do, yeah. I think they only work with current Airbnb hosts. And I think initially the idea behind it was to provide a loan for either buying new furniture or do some renovations and stuff. But I just checked their website last week. Seems like they're doing properties as well now. I think it's only for people who are already hosting and, who have shown that they have the capability to, to make money on Airbnb and to be a good host. I think you have to have like some positive reviews and stuff. That's kind of the way that they select the people. Is it for you guys? If somebody's never done Airbnb before, could that person still qualify for the down payment?
Yeah. Actually, our focus, most of our customers have not hosted on Airbnb before. They've typically used Airbnb as a guest before, and maybe they've tried hosting, like myself and my co-founder who got stopped by our landlords. But we're definitely trying to kind of make this Airbnb hosting experience as lightweight, almost passive as possible through some, automations and software.
Interesting. So you're going to provide the automations, the software. Are you going to design it yourself, or are you going to partner with some of the other apps that are already out there?
Yeah, we'd like to ideally partner because, I think our strength is definitely around our predictions of Airbnb income and kind of having the legal structure to be able to offer down payments. We don't want to rebuild when it's other people's specialty, but we do want to provide kind of a suite for our home buyers where, they have an automated keypad, they have smart messaging, they have the pricing so that they can, really have this take ideally less than 15 minutes a week to kind of manage their Airbnb, their extra bedroom.
And so for your business model, I guess it's pretty important to really help and educate your clients so that they are doing well, because the more that they are making, the earlier that you get your money back.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely on the same side as our home buyers, and they get to keep, 30%, sometimes, up to 50% of the monthly income. So they definitely have skin in the game. A lot of them are making 5% down payments, which means that their monthly mortgage is pretty high. So getting this extra income is very helpful to offset private mortgage insurance costs, and the monthly mortgage payments.
What's the application process? Like, let's say I want to buy a house in Seattle. What are the steps for me to get a down payment from you guys?
You can sign up on loftium.com and we will refer you to, the mortgage lender. Right now it's Umpqua Bank. So you get pre-approved just like normal for a mortgage with our partner bank. In addition to that, we do some additional checks. So we will do a background check, which is something Airbnb doesn't do. And we also ask some questions about kind of your hosting preferences so we can adjust the down payment based on, say, if you're, restricting certain types of guests, etc. And that's it. I mean, after that, you can start requesting quotes on any property and we can give you those offers so that you can start, making offers on homes.
Very cool. I would love to hear a little bit more about, the process of when you had this idea, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have ideas. I mean, the Airbnb space is still pretty new, and so there's a lot of innovation going on. How did you go from having that idea to actually, launching the product and the company?
So this is definitely not my first startup. I previously built a mobile fitness app in San Francisco. So I've been very lucky because I think Loftium is the type of company that's pretty hard to start without some connections, especially funding connections. So we have some amazing partners, our VCs, our round was led by DFJ, a Silicon Valley venture capital company. And we were able to get additional kind of debt financing for the down payments themselves. So I think having that support really helped us get this together. And then, of course, working through the long process of getting the regulatory approval to be able to be a down payment provider, kind of the financing and the regulatory support helped to make it possible.
And do you have a large team that works with you, or is it just you and your co-founder?
Right now, we're a team of 9. So last week we were only a team of 5, and we're definitely hiring. So we're hoping to kind of expand the team.
Awesome. So anyone out there, are you looking for something in particular?
Yeah, I mean, developers. We're also looking for kind of customer experience, customer service, sales.
Okay, so for anyone out there in the Seattle area, if you're looking for a job, you know where to go. You've also been featured already in like the New York Times, GeekWire, Fortune, Bloomberg. Did you have some good connections with those magazines and newspapers?
Yeah, so a lot of them had written about my last company. So I had, I knew who they were and they knew who I was. But I think a lot of the stories, the reporters were interested because it's a pretty relevant story. I think down payments are the number one barrier to homeownership. And honestly, for a lot of people looking to start hosting an Airbnb, right, it's hard to do until you actually own a property. I think that's why the co-host feature was launched by Airbnb. It's for people that, want to do more hosting, but maybe don't own the property yet. Being able to kind of combine Airbnb, which is normally seen as maybe not a force for good in housing affordability, and then turning it around and actually creating down payments to help make housing affordable. That was a pretty interesting kind of perspective for the reporters.
And it's gotten pretty expensive, the housing. I mean, I think the housing market, the prices are even higher than they were before the financial crisis.
Yep, in most cities, they've risen now past 2008.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Well, I bought a house in Colombia. It's so cheap over there. It was only $150,000 for a 2-bedroom penthouse, about like 900 square feet or something, with a roof terrace and like in the nicest neighborhood in the city. So
Nice.
it's pretty, there's still some places in the world where the prices aren't as crazy yet. You were talking about the average price for a house in Seattle at $700,000.
Yep. Yep. And it's rising so quickly. I think a lot of people, especially Loftium customers, they unfortunately don't have the ability to travel and kind of live completely remotely. So they have to stay in an area where the jobs are. So that's why I think a lot of cities are becoming more expensive. The opportunities are there, so people move there, and the cities can't keep up with building housings. That definitely drives up the prices.
Do you already have a lot of people who signed up, or did you already have some customers before you launched to like test it out?
Yeah, so we had a small kind of handful of customers that we were working with before the launch. So they're actually closing this week and next week, which is exciting. But launch definitely elevated, the number of customers. We, in the first 48 hours, already have over 1,500 signups, a lot of them here in the Seattle area, which is really exciting.
Awesome. I also see that there's a section of your website where I see some houses and some prices, and then you can get an offer for the down payment. So are these houses that are on the market?
Yeah. We have a list of Loftium picks on our website. You can get an estimate on any house in Seattle, but we pick out some of the best ones that we think would be great for Airbnb. So homes with a mother-in-law unit downstairs, or townhomes with kind of a private layout where the first floor is great for Airbnb. So we do some of that legwork.
Interesting. So people can actually go on your website and find a home, and you've guys done some research as to the potential profitability, because I guess that's a very important part of your business model, right? You got to make an estimate of how much are people going to make.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, our core business really is being able to predict that revenue and being able to pay the down payments.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show. I'm very excited to see how Loftium is going to expand. We'll definitely stay in touch. If there's anything else you want to share with the listeners?
I think the only last thing is right now we actually decided to run a promotion where the first 10 customers that close with us, we're actually going to furnish and decorate their Airbnb room for them for free, which is pretty exciting. So for the Seattle listeners who are thinking about doing this, that might be a nice perk.
Awesome. Well, if I was in Seattle, I would take that option.
Yeah, it's fun for our team too. We've been having a lot of fun doing decorations.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks a lot. And to all the listeners out there, thank you for listening. And of course, on Friday, there will be a new news episode. So I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Get paid for your pet. 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 Get paid for your pet.